Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon. Welcome to this June 23rd version of AM Live on EOA. Your connection to Eastern Oregon. We're glad that you're here with us. If you want to find our content, go to EOA.network. Type that into the browser bar, EOA.network. That takes you to a link tree where you can find the locations of all of our content. Glad you're here with us. Here in a little bit, we are going to have Police Chief Jason Hayes, LeGrand Police Chief. He'll be with us to talk about all things here, cops in LeGrand. So, how are you, man?
All things cops.
All things cops.
That's funny. I'm good.
Dun, dun, what
First,
you gonna do?
second Monday.
How are you, man?
Good. Another day.
Yeah.
Getting through the early part of summer, which is kind of slow.
Yeah.
It's good recovery time though, because there's a big month coming up. Well, not a month, but a couple of weeks coming up, and just I found out today or actually last night, that the rosters have changed a little bit for Shrine, so we'll have to get that figured out, I guess.
Yeah.
So it always happens. I mean, players drop and they add players, and so. But it'll be fun.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good experience.
So we're going to be streaming the pay-per-view All-Star 6-8-9 man football this weekend, and they're in town this week, kind of doing the similar thing to what Shrine does. I mean, they're in town, and
I don't think they go a whole week though.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I know the guy who's organizing it was in town yesterday.
Yeah, maybe they do then. Maybe they. I don't know. I haven't ever been involved in it.
But I haven't either. But I was looking at their Facebook page, and I mean, they do a very similar thing. They choose the football. I mean, it's a kind of the same process that they do for the Shrine games.
I've been to it before.
So
I've just never been involved. It's kind of small scale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just. I mean, obviously it's small schools, but I think I was at the 6A game for a half last year.
Yeah.
And it's 6-man football is weird, man.
Well, yeah. Put that graphic up for just a minute so people can know. So if anybody's interested, that URL I created the other day, 689allstarfootball.com is where people can go. Then there's 2 games on Friday and 1 game on Saturday, and they will be streamed. This is the first time I've done a pay-per-view gig, but we'll see how it goes. But Tanya and I we're doing the operation to keep costs down, because I have no idea how much money we'll actually have come in. So anyhow, that's going to be happening.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Abbott. Warhammer 40,000. This exhilarating new box introduces the 11th edition of Warhammer. It's loaded with extraordinary new miniatures. You'll find 2 armies under the lid, a high-flying force of Blood Angels, Space Marines, and a brutal horde of warlike orcs. You'll also find a rule book, a background book, a set of mission cards, and a deck of campaign cards. It's ideal for anyone who's looking to take the plunge into a new era of war. Find it at Hobby Habit in LeGrand, just for the fun of it. LeGrand Legends 16U played Wallowa Valley on Friday and lost, unfortunately. Then the 18U team played them and won. It was weird. They were supposed to play, the 16U team was supposed to play Wallowa. The 18U team was supposed to play Burns. Burns backed out, so Wallowa ended up playing both the games against LeGrand. So they're the next home game, and this was going to be their only home games of the year, but I guess now we have a home game on July 1st. We don't have a time for it yet. As soon as I get it, I'll let you guys know. But Baker's going to come to town on the 1st. Congratulations to LHS senior softball players Cassidy Hogue and Maddie Sievert. They're both selected to play for the East in the 4A, 5A All-Star game at Lake Ridge High School in Lake Oswego. The East unfortunately lost 7-2, but I was talking to one of the moms, and they said everybody had a lot of fun. The East team was actually coached by EOU head coach Nicole Christian, which is kind of cool too. What a great opportunity to go out and scout some high school players. Let's move into talking just a little bit about Shrine here. Benny, go ahead and. Yeah, Shrine game July 25th. The stream will start at 6 o'clock as normal, and the game kicks off at 7. There's a bunch of pageantry before the game, and just look for content. We're going to be pushing some content during the week of, and we do a few different things, and there'll be some interviews with a couple of coaches, and we usually get to the like jersey handout and as much of that stuff as we possibly can to give it kind of gives the players a sense of like importance. You know, it's good for them, and it's just a great week overall. I'm super excited this year, and I said this before. One of my friends is coaching the game, and his son is playing as well. As far as like the team wise, I mean, I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be high scoring. The East offense will be led by Jack Wright of Burns, who's I mean, arguably the best quarterback in the state at any level. And then the East defense, you know, Riley Krantz from LeGrand will be on that defense, and I would argue that he was one of the best defensive players in the whole state at the 4A level. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a high scoring game though. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit and LeGrand, just for the fun of it.
All right. Thanks, Steph. Thank you. Good stuff. All right. Let's take a look outside, Bennett. And it's beautiful. Sun shining on the lens of our dirty lens camera. But what's the weather like going to be? Is it warm today, Bennett? I think I saw, 89, 86, and then it starts to cool down a little bit over the weekend.
The rain's coming.
Yeah. So we haven't had any rain at all for like a week or longer. Things are starting to get a little dry. So, all righty. So a couple of different things to make you aware of. So we are going to be streaming the fireworks show at Thunder at the Peak. That's on the evening of the 4th of July as soon as it gets dark. And so be sure and check that out and watch for that.
We generally start that stream at like 9:35, 9:40, roughly.
Yeah. So that will be happening. We didn't know until just yesterday that for sure is happening. And then also we are going to be streaming the Embler Parade, 4th of July Parade, which is at noon. That stream starts a little before noon, and so we'll be streaming that also. So those two events. So, but on the 4th of July, you should get out and go somewhere. The parade in Embler, Embler is only 8 miles outside of LeGrand here. That's just a great, and it's a long parade. There's really good participation. I'll bet it lasts a half an hour, and so, and they really pull out all the stops for that. And then the 4th of July Thunder at the Peak, again, it's just a great event. So, all right. Well, we're going to take a break, and we will be right back with Police Chief Jason Hayes.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. EO Live is your connection to Eastern Oregon. Tune in for a variety of engaging and relevant local content. See Brent and Dodsey goof and gab with local guests on EO Live's morning talk show, AM Live. Watch Dodsey on EO Live Sports to get the latest sports information and interviews with local coaches, athletes, and more. On EO Talks, we have intriguing and in-depth conversations with people from around Eastern Oregon. Master Chef Russ Gleason shares delicacies from his golden recipe book on cooking across the hall. Stay in the know about what's happening at the sheriff's office on Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen. To stay in the loop on local arts and music events, catch the EOA Arts Update with Ricky Joe Hickey. We're available across the board, including Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Fire, and of course, our very own website, EOA.tv. We even have our own Roku channel with 24/7 live streaming content. You can also listen to our shows on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and many other popular podcast apps. EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon.
All right, we are back with Jason Hayes, the Grand Police Chief. I still want to call you Lieutenant at times. Yeah, but hey, how are you, man?
Good. Good morning. Thanks for having me
Morning.
today.
Yeah.
Things are going well. Yeah. You know, it's the summertime, so it's kind of an exciting time. You know, it's fun to see like Parks Department doing all the children activities. We had Touch a Truck last weekend. You were talking about 4th of July, and that's coming up. And it's just a neat time of year. I like summer.
Yeah. There's lots going on.
There is. Yeah.
So is summer busier for
Oh, yeah.
your officers and stuff? I mean, there's just more going on?
Yeah, it is busier. Our day shifts seem to pick up a little bit. You know, overall, over the last 5 years, our call load has increased significantly. So it's just busy all the time now, it seems like. But summer does usually generate a little bit more activity. Whether it's the hot weather or just, you know, the sun being out longer, I don't know. But there's definitely something to it.
Well, yeah. Well, we just got done with the longest day of the year, right? The
Yes,
summer
yeah.
solstice. So, well, tell me. I mean, you brought some facts. Yeah, talk to us kind of about. I mean, some of the
Yeah.
things that you're noticing about the police department.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so one of the things that I like to do right now is tell our story. What is the citizens of LeGrand? What are their police officers doing? And what is it that we're dealing with in LeGrand? And how does that compare, you know, to other agencies in the state or nationally? And it was interesting because I did a presentation or I talked at the last city council meeting. And one of the things is I wanted to tell our story. So I randomly picked one day. And it was May 21st. It was a Thursday. School was still in session. You would think it would be pretty benign. But so I just randomly picked a day, like 24-hour day. Yeah. What is it that our officers are responding to in a typical day? Yeah. What I found out is that we responded to 36 calls for service. That's just the LeGrand Police Department in that day. And so what is it that they're responding to? Well, let me tell you. Mental health crisis related call. 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 So 7 of those. We had 5 trespass in progress calls. 2 harassment calls, 1 attempted suicide, 1 threatened suicide, 1 overdose, 1 allegation of rape, 7 suspicious person or vehicle calls, 1 burglary alarm, 1 motor vehicle accident, 1 loud party, 1 missing person call, 2 domestic violence calls, and then a handful of some miscellaneous other calls. We're busy. That's
Yeah.
one day, and most of those calls do come in during the daytime. So if you take those 36 calls, and really, those probably started coming in at 6 a.m. and until 10 was the bulk of them. But when I looked at that, we did have a call every single hour of the day. So even at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., which is really neat because we are the only 24-hour police agency in Union County. And it's nice that we have that ability to respond to calls immediately. I am so incredibly proud of our officers because when I looked into this, I also wanted to know what is our response times to calls. And the citizens of LeGrand should be proud of their police officers because non-emergent calls, we're averaging showing up to those calls to take that report in less than 5 minutes. For an emergency call, less than 3 minutes. If you lived in Portland or Eugene or Salem, that would never happen.
Yeah.
And so I was very proud at that moment of what we are doing as a work product in serving our community. And I made sure I let our officers and our staff know. But I don't want to forget dispatch. So dispatch in the month of May, so 1 month. And our dispatch center is part of the LeGrand Police Department, but they dispatch for 22 different agencies. That's all the law enforcement, all the medical, search and rescue, Forest Service, and some others. But they dispatched 2,900 calls. And
Now, dispatch meaning they came in, or they
that's
or
what they
sent
filled
somebody
in.
out? Oh, okay.
That's what they filled it in. That usually, requires some work on their part
Okay.
and dispatching out to the agency. Now, what's important to know is that does not tell the whole story. So for those 2,900 calls for service, they could receive multiple 911 calls that take up their time for a concern, but that's only counted as one. For instance, last week we had a fire near Perry. They had over 26 911 calls that they had to field those calls, but it only counts to one.
Right.
So when you're talking about 2,900, our dispatchers are very busy as well.
Yeah.
And so for our dispatch center, they're averaging about 94 calls for service a day.
Wow.
So kind of sets the picture of what is it that we're doing. So for the LeGrand Police Department for the month of May, we responded to a total of 1,108 calls for service. That's just in the city. And of all the calls that our dispatch center receives, half of them, so you take 22 agencies, the LeGrand Police Department fields over half of those. But that makes sense, right? Because we have 13,000 people and the
Right.
bulk of the population and businesses. So, yeah. Also in May, we did 49 arrests, and they found time in all of that to do some proactive police work and did 174 traffic stops. And
Right.
then our detectives too. So what does their case look like? They're down right now 19 calls or 19 investigations. So their investigations are constantly coming in, and I love talking about dispatch because
No, so they're down 19. What meaning? What they're
that means that they have 19 investigations that they're actively investigating right now.
Okay.
That they haven't been able to close.
okay.
Because just more keep coming in, and you guys know, like I loved in my career when I was, before I became an administrator, detective work, and so I love talking about detective work. And not only do they do the major crimes like we had last week with an infant death, but they also child abuse is a big one, and we're averaging 35 to 37 calls per month related to child abuse.
Wow.
And that's neglect. Physical abuse or sexual abuse. So it kind of captures a lot. And it doesn't mean that every one of those is founded. It's just that's how many reports that they have to look into, screen, investigate, and then close or move on in the process.
Wow.
For justice. So, yeah, right? We're busy.
So there's a couple of things so one is you said the only 24-hour service in Union counties because
Yes.
the sheriff's department has gaps here and there.
They do.
Or they always have officers on call,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
But they're not a 24-hour agency where they have somebody on duty all the time. Same with
Okay.
the Oregon State Police.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And OSP is kind of the same. They're not always
Correct.
okay. So
Yeah.
and then then the other question I had was, so, and you might have mentioned there, because I was thinking about this question when you were talking, how do you, so the 911 center, which you are responsible for, handles all of this stuff.
Yes.
How is it funded? I mean, do
Yeah.
you, I mean, how do you don't charge per call, or do you just kind of, I mean, how do you get money from other people to help contribute to take care of those expenses?
Right. So our dispatch center basically has three funding sources. One, the City of LaGrange's general fund that we contribute to to them. Also, on 911 pays, and it's based on a percentage of the size of our county. So we get a certain amount of income from the state, and that's based off of on your phone bill. There's a 911 charge on there.
Okay, yeah.
So that's a big piece of it. And then we we bill services for comprehensive. So like the Union County Sheriff's Office, who's a big user of our services, we look at how much of their services do they use, and then we figure out through equations an appropriate amount to charge them for.
And is that a
So
monthly thing? Does that change?
It's a yearly thing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And so then that's something you kind of negotiate with the county every year, and
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we have cooperative policing agreements with them and stuff. So, we have a very symbiotic relationship. We work really well with our other law enforcement partners in the county. So
like for the equipment though, I mean, I remember we just went through a budget season.
Yeah.
And you guys are updating some of that 911 equipment, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And what that is, that's our consoles, and that is your command center
Right.
for each dispatcher. It's not just a desk. It's the desk with all the electronics that support all the equipment that go with it. So ours, they're supposed to be replaced about every 10 years. Well, we went over 20 years with the set that we have. So we were due, but we budgeted, we planned for that over a course of several years. And so, here hopefully soon, we were authorized and approved to purchase those in our budget. And so hopefully, here soon we'll be able to get those.
Yeah,
And I
and
know that it's exciting for them. I mean, new technology, anything that we can do to improve job satisfaction and the product that we put out and stuff is beneficial.
Well, and I've been in that center a couple of different times, and you got 2 or 3 different consoles, and they're all matching.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean there's probably 10 computers involved, 10 different screens, 10. There's so much stuff that they're
There
interacting
is.
with, and systems that are coming together, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
They have recorders and phone lines and computer lines and radio operations, and it's all in one spot. And each one of those is the same, so that any dispatcher can go to any console and it's the exact same setup.
Yeah.
So very user friendly in that manner. But I'll tell you what, our 911 dispatchers are so amazing, because the ability to multitask like they do is just fascinating to me. I call it the war room. That's just mine, because I was in the Navy, and like on a ship, I was on a ship, and you go into the war room, and it is all these electronics and stuff, and it's very intimidating. And then you watch them operate, and they have maps and all these things, and they're doing all this stuff at once while the phone is ringing nonstop, and I just appreciate them so much. They're very skilled in what they do, and we're lucky because our dispatch cadre is top notch.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I asked that question goes back to the funding. So then this funding that you're gathering, it's not only covering the services right now, but you're accumulating funds to replace equipment like what you need to be replaced in the future.
Correct.
And update it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And we just had the budget hearings here, and stuff, and we survived. But we are in a time right now where the city is not growing, so we only have X amount of money coming in. But the cost of doing business, we all feel it in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Either at the gas pump, you name it, your cell phone bill goes up, everything goes up.
Right.
Well, it's the same for us. Anytime that we subscribe to something or purchase something or whatever, the costs are higher. And so, you know, when that happens, we're essentially spending more money than what we're making. And so we're just figuring out a plan. We're working with the city manager and the council and stuff on how can we stabilize that, you know, moving forward. So one of the things that we did was we did lose a police officer position to help with the fiscal transformation initiative to help balance things. And aside from that, we also cut some other stuff. I think the grand total was around $300,000 that we, you know, that we had to cut from our budget to help the city in this situation that we're in.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've been here 28 years, almost 28 years, and I remember going through the recession of 2007, somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact year, but where we've had to make cuts, but this stuff always comes around, you know, it improves. And we lived through that, and we made it through that. So that armed me with the experience of how can I get everybody through this while maintaining our services that we deliver and the morale and welfare of our folks as well.
Yeah.
And excuse me, making sure they still have the tools that they need
Right.
to do the job.
Well, and when you cut an officer, I mean, you've had a couple of positions that had been open for a period of time, and that right, and then, but that money every year to hire those people has kind of been held aside.
Correct.
Right, and so
Yeah.
so it's not like somebody out on the job got fired. It's that you essentially you decreased your inventory to hire somebody by one. I mean, am I saying that correct?
You are saying that correct.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we had, so recruitment and retention in the law enforcement field is very difficult
Right.
now.
And we talked about
it's
that.
not just LeGrand, it's industry-wide,
Yeah.
you know, across the state and the nation. We just don't have applicants like we used to. You know, there's certain things, you know, like there's less people. The birth rate is lower, so, you know, which happened 18 plus years ago, and so you have less people entering the workforce.
See, and a lot of people don't really get that and know that.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear that from George Mendoza because there are fewer students, which means they get smaller amounts of money, and that declining birth rate is affecting a lot of different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, being a police officer is a difficult job, and there's a lot of job openings. So one of the things too is shift work. You know, that's very difficult on families to, and our dispatchers and our police officers all work shift work. You know, we are a 24-hour service, as we talked about, and you know, there's pay, not getting paid enough to do the job that they do. You know, it's interesting because one of the things that we're contending with, and nothing against Umatilla Tribal Police, but they pay very, very well. And so they have as many sworn officers as we do, but they serve a population of 3,500. We serve a population of 13,000. So their call load is a lot less. And they get paid for a senior officer to go from here to there is going to get an increase of, I don't know the exact number, but it's around $40,000.
An increase of 40K.
Yeah. So it depends on certifications and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's substantial. It's substantial enough that we're going to be losing some officers to them because our call load is high and the pay is so much better over there. And good for them. I don't have anything to say about bad about Umatilla Tribal at all. But it doesn't help me when I'm trying to retain people,
Right.
But we did get pay raises, they in this collective bargaining year was this year and stuff, and they got a cost of living increase that, in my experience, being there 27 and a half years, is I thought was very good.
Right. Well, and I kind of want to zoom in on that because it's, that's where my next question was going to go, was about the union and the way that it works with the collective bargaining agreement is the correct way. But, and I know, so I see this crunch and I'm sympathetic for all sides of the crunch.
Right.
You're on the administration side. Kyle, my son-in-law is a deputy, and so, and then on the same hand, I was a part of the budget meetings. I understand the budget crunch and all of that. And so, and you you came up through the officer, and I mean, you were in the union, but now your administration,
Right.
you're not in the union, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it seems like that is just a mess. I mean, all of that ends, you know, the wages are not enough to attract the candidates that you need to fill the positions, but at the same time, you have a union who's, I mean, they're doing their job and
Yeah.
they're trying to increase the wage. I don't know. There are times where it's like you just want to pull what little hair you have out because nobody's going to be happy. I mean, at the end of the day,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, you're exactly right. It does get frustrating, and I'm in an interesting position, but I think I'm in a good position because coming through the association and being a member, I know
Right.
what's important to them. But I also have built this relationship with our city manager and I'm educated now on the city budget. They don't have unlimited funds, obviously.
Right.
So trying to find that balance, but we do that through transparency and education. So I'm able to, I have a good relationship with the association president, who is also a staff member. But in those terms, there's no rank when you're in collective bargaining.
Right.
But and through education, they know that the city doesn't have unlimited amount of money. They also know we can never pay what Oregon State Police and what Umatilla Tribal pay. But what can we do to make it felt so that our employees are, content with where they're at? So that's where we also have to work on that family values. Like our employees are our family. We take care of them. And then we try to get them to think about things also like insurance, health insurance, because we do have good health insurance. We have Life Flight and Viva, which is money put aside for health insurance or health-related expenses. So but they did well this year. So what I was really happy to see this year is longevity bonuses. We've never had that before within the police department in their association. And that is good because, now the city recognized that's important in our retention. And so if I was an association member, I'd feel really good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other things, perks? I mean, like do the officers get free passes to the swimming pool, or do they get, I mean, are there other little things that they get to make life? Because, the advantage of, well, first of all, let's start here. So if you were talking to an officer is like, yes, you could go work for OSP or you could go over the hill.
Yeah.
But here you get this. What is that you would tell them?
Yeah. So, well, now would be the longevity bonus.
Yeah.
It would be a good cost of living increase. It would be the good insurance and explaining why our insurance is really good as compared to other insurance programs out there. Now we've done some things too, and Chief Bell really was instrumental in this, but we are now like loosening our tattoo policies, our facial hair policies, just keeping up with the trends, and what is it that is appealing to our officers that they like about. So here a couple of years ago, I did a recruitment and retention survey with our staff. I wanted to know. Now, surveys are only as good as the information you get back. If they feel trusted, and I got some really good information, things that we as administrators could do better, but also those things like tattoos and facial hair. So we're continuing to do those things. One thing that's new this year, and it was important to the officers, but like they get more ammunition to go take to practice with. So that's something that's an added benefit this year. We already do, coordinated trainings, but this is an addition to that. I'm exploring other things like being on the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. So we're exploring that as an option because other agencies are part of that and our officers find that appealing. And we have a SWAT team. Not all agencies have a SWAT team. So we use that as a recruitment tool. A lot of diversity in things that you can do. And the benefit of being able to have a chance to go into detectives and do detective work if that's your thing. It was a thing when I came up through the ranks, but now I'm finding that officers aren't as interested in doing detective work like they used to be. Yeah, so, but the problem you have all these agencies across the state of Oregon all have vacancies, or most of them have vacancies. And so we're competing against each other on what carrot can we dangle.
Right.
And so the game's constantly
Right.
being up, and that's where Tribal was having a hard time with recruitment. But they were able to get such substantial pay raises. And what we're finding out now is pay is a big deal. To me, when I got hired, I didn't even think about pay. I
Right.
just wanted to be in the
Yeah, you love the
career.
job,
It
right,
seemed
yeah.
exciting and all of that. And never, have I ever complained about pay. But we have a generation now where, how much is in my paycheck is important to them. And that is important to us because we got to keep up with what is the different generations coming into our workforce and what is it that they want to keep them satisfied in the workplace and work on that retention piece.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
No, but it's good. Do you have, so here's kind of a wild question. Do you have a spouse club? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there any,
We do not.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where you, and you have both male and female officers.
Yeah.
But still, if, because that, I don't know, that's a big part of the family and connect.
Yes.
Anybody who is a cop spouse, whatever it might be,
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of a club there. They understand each other's needs and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And
Yeah, we did start a wives Facebook group.
Yeah.
So that they could connect and but again, we're a generational difference. Like yesterday, I spoke at the Lions Club and stuff. But when you think about those community groups, they're not as robust as they used to be, and that's just due to the changing of times and social media and electronics and things. And we're finding that our new officers coming in, that home work-life balance, which we promote.
Right.
But they, don't want to be involved in much outside of work with people that they work with. Now, buddies and stuff,
Right.
Within the ranks.
but it's just kind of changed. It's
Yeah, it's just different. It's not
Yeah.
wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
Everything changes over time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what else? Talk to me about the other challenges that you kind of see out there.
Yeah.
Vehicles or I don't know, whatever out
Yeah.
there that's because I know that you do a lot of forecasting. And
Right.
so, because you have to. So
I do. Yeah, that's my job, is always thinking of what's in the best interest of our community, because I serve the community, right? So they're number one. So what is it? What's the trends that are happening within our community, and how can I positively affect the livability of the people in our community? And so it's tracking crime trends. It's I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but right now our mental health crisis is still our number one barrier. And here's how bad it is last week or 2 weeks ago, I went to Salem and I went to a meeting with the state's attorney general. In the room was the attorney general, Department of Justice, attorneys, sheriffs, and police chiefs, and some support people. And that was one of the number one issues amongst even the attorney general. Like, this is a broken system that we have in Oregon when it comes to untreated mental health. And so the attorney general basically said, yeah, we've been trying to address this with the governor. We're being ignored. So we're having a hard time, getting, hospitals, behavioral health specialists, law enforcement, even probably Right Track Resource Center. We're all connected to mental health crisis in one way, in our own, way. But we have to work together to try to solve it. But we keep hitting barriers, and I don't know what the solution is. But you heard me start off on my statistics,
Yeah.
And really, when you look at
So I think in
all
that,
of our calls, about 50% of them are related to where the root cause is mental health.
yeah, in that one day, I think you said 9, right? Or
Seven.
7.
7. Now, if you wanted to count the 2 suicidal
Right.
calls,
Which-
that's 9.
Right.
Yeah,
I was
because
gonna
those are
ask,
also.
so when you classify the calls, if there is an attempted suicide, that doesn't classify as mental health. How do you
Well,
classify them as a mental
does,
health?
but when I segregate those out, if you will, into categories, I'm talking about the ones who have untreated those mental health calls, those 7 that I gave you. That's untreated mental health that's chronic.
Right.
It's not an acute thing. It's chronic where we're dealing with the same people over and over and over again. And this all goes to, it's very difficult to involuntarily place somebody to get help in Oregon. And there's just not enough resources because it's not a legislative priority in Oregon at this point.
Is there a system that tracks how many times it's the same person? Because like I saw the other day, there was like 5 times the cops went to somebody's house before they arrested somebody. I read somewhere online or something. And it's like,
So-
how do we go there 5 times and not have a good enough reason to arrest somebody?
Right.
And I think that was a domestic thing. And you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So we have a good relationship with Center for Human Development. So that's where behavioral health is. And so I provide them a monthly report. Well, now Lieutenant Gridley does. But I still monitor that. And it tracks our monthly reports where the root cause was mental health. Yeah. And it shows exactly how many calls on the same person.
Yeah.
And then we do direct contact with CHD in the behavioral health and like, hey, this one is causing a lot of problems right
Maybe they're
now.
not taking their meds.
Yeah.
Or something.
And the difficult part is I've talked about this before, but the system is making criminals out of people who are not criminals. And what I mean by that is if you have somebody who is suffering from a mental health crisis, whatever the cause may be, well, we deal with them because they stand out like a spider on a wedding cake is my analogy.
100%.
I think I've used that before. Because they're the person that's either naked out in the middle of the street or they're yelling.
Fighting ninjas down Adams. Or
Yeah, they just stand out. So we mitigate, we de-escalate, we figure out what is the root cause. And well, the bar is so high to involuntarily place them because we can do a police officer hold on them long enough to turn them over to behavioral health, but they have to pose a major risk to themselves or somebody else. Ninth Circuit Court made that a very high bar. So what happens is ultimately we can't do anything. We do the best we can. We try to get them to services. They don't voluntarily want to go to services, so they remain out in our community. And then what happens is they decompensate. So the longer they go untreated, the worse they get. And then what happens is they ultimately end up committing crimes. And these are usually, not always, but low-level crimes. These are thefts, disorderly conducts, trespasses. Those are your big 3 right there. So we ultimately have to arrest them, and they go to jail, and then the jail becomes a holding cell for them. It increases the risk to the jail staff because people who are suffering from a mental health crisis are often violent. And then it goes to the court process and, without getting into the weeds, there's aid and assist and some legalities that come involved and they actually get released. We're finding out now that even when we involuntarily place somebody, there is not bed space available. So if we do get them into a state mental hospital, they're staying in under 7 days. I just learned that a couple of weeks ago and they're released. So really what they're focusing on is community restoration. And trying to treat them in the community, but that's not working, to be honest. So here's some more stats real quick. So over the last 5 years, drug overdoses have increased 390%. Disorderly conduct, that's usually associated with our mental health, has increased 283%. Houselessness related calls for service. So this is when we get a call of somebody sleeping under a bridge, Max Square, whatever it may be, increased 231%. response to where the root cause is mentally ill person in the last 5 years has gone up 123%. Suicide-related calls for service are up 71%, and our trespass calls, also usually associated with mental health, is up 50%. So as you can see, things are getting busier. What I'm telling you too is, if we could figure out how to fix this mental health crisis that we're in, then that's going to reduce the calls for service by 50%. So if I don't have the officers to deal with all the calls for service, that's how we fix it, you know. And so what do? You know, the Lions Club, yesterday they were asking me, well, what can we do? I'm at a loss, because this has to come from the governor's office to legislation, and it has to be a priority. And behavioral health specialists will tell you the same stuff. They're all trying to do the best they can, but their toolbox doesn't have a lot of tools in it.
Right.
Because they're hamstrung by legislation.
It's interesting to me that, you know, I mean, ODOT has got a lot of attention because of their budget crisis and all of that business and stuff. But, you know, what has come out of that is everybody in the state knows that ODOT exists and that it needs money, you know, and so on and so on. But those conversations have never happened from the state mental health standpoint.
Yeah.
Nobody really understands the crisis, and that there's a major amount of effort that needs to be put into that. I mean, do you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
We are just seeing that we're flat being ignored on this subject.
Yeah.
Like we need help here.
Yeah.
And again, it's not just police officers, it's jail staff, it's the hospital, it's behavioral health specialists. You know, it's systematic.
Yeah.
You know, and you'd think, like, we're all screaming for help here.
Well, and it was interesting. We had the Friends of the Children banquet. I don't know if you were there or not, but anyhow, one of the guys that was there he came up in that program in Portland, and now he works in the mental health area for incarcerated people. And I had an interesting conversation with him, and he was relating a different part of the crisis of where if somebody breaks the law but they have a mental health issue, what does the system do with them?
Yeah.
And essentially it's kind of the same answer. They really don't have a place for them.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, it's not like they can't be institutionalized for long term.
Right.
Yeah, and so then you have somebody who actually, you know, I mean, he talked about somebody who did a sexual offense 5 years ago in a park in Portland. You know, he went to jail he went through the system, is released, and then literally 5 years ago, the same park, the same offense, the same person. You know, and no real help to help those kind of people. Yeah. So I mean, it's not. You can zoom in. It's an issue everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And it would also, you know, if we could figure out the answers, it would reduce, if not eliminate, our houseless, you know, situation.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. One of the Right Track resource people were here yesterday, and one of the questions I asked them was the number of people that they're helping. Are they local or are they from the outside?
Yeah.
I mean, what's your assessment there?
Yeah, my assessment is, and I don't know what they said. They are the experts, right? They would have the data to support this. My experience says that most of them are local.
Right,
Yeah.
and
But they do have some,
Right.
you know, but it's a small percentage.
Well, and that was what they said too, which is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, it's just a natural thing when you see somebody that's on the street, you know, and you can tell that just by the way they're operating, they're pushing a cart, that they're living on the street. It's like there's an assumption, they're from the outside and they've landed here in LeGrand and you know.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. And there's several of those, you know, we know who a lot of our houseless are, and we have relationships with them, mostly positive, as far as we know who they are. They knew we're not going to violate their rights or criminalize their houselessness or whatever. But they don't even access the Right Track Resource Center.
Right.
So, like, you can go get a shower and a meal and be taken care of. And what I love about Right Track Resource Center is their wraparound services. They don't just offer a place, but you want help, you want housing, you want because they have success stories.
Right.
And so, but again, it's voluntariness, you know?
Right. But, and I moved here from Seattle, 30 years ago, and was right in Seattle, worked with homelessness a lot, that were just right there in my area. And yeah, I mean, one of the things I discovered is that sometimes to get help, you have to be accountable to people. Not sometimes. Yeah. If you're homeless and you're getting help, there's some accountability that comes with that help. But if you don't need help, if you don't take the help, then you're not accountable to anybody. Mm-hmm. And there's a certain number of people that's what they want. I mean,
yes.
They remain in that funky place because they don't want to be accountable to anybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Yeah. Well, what else? Kind of tell me locally when you look out there, what is are there better cars? Is there technology? What are some of the things that you can see down the road that might make what you guys are doing easier or better?
Yeah. In law enforcement, technology, right? It's always changing, more advanced.
Right.
So there's some big things, body-worn cameras. We're one of the few agencies that don't have them right now, but that's a funding issue. Right. And because with body-worn cameras, so I did an estimate a year ago, not quite a year ago. How much would it cost? Well, the upfront cost is $65,000, just to get the equipment.
Which isn't that much compared to a lot of other things that you've gone on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but then there's ongoing because, there's the storage of the data, there's public records, it all adds. Body-worn camera with other technology, in 5 years, you have to get the newest, greatest, if you enter a contract, because that's that's the only way you can afford these things is contracts.
Like there's a system, and you get the cameras in the system, and you have somebody who helps you manage all of that data.
Yes.
And access to that data.
Right.
And that's right.
Yeah. So, we were speaking earlier, but drones in law enforcement is a neat technology advancement that really assists us. And they're with all these things, same with license plate readers that like the Oregon State Police and bigger agencies have those where it automatically reads the license plate. And if a stolen car passes by, it'll automatically pick up on that and notify the deputy or the trooper or the officer that's driving by. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fascinating. You can track people with them and stuff. But there's guardrails, right?
Right.
But all of these technology things, when they hit it, they're neat. But then what does the law say about that in the privacy interests of citizens?
Yeah, I was going to say license readers are kind of...
Yeah, they're always questionable. And we just, that just went through the short session with the Oregon legislature. And it was beneficial to police on this one. They're allowed, but there's certain criteria with them. So I know that one thing that I like to do is okay, I don't just jump on the newest thing. Let other people try it out. Yeah. And let's see where we land on all that.
You're not guinea pigging.
Yeah. They're using drones to enter houses, to investigate traffic accidents, to search and rescue missions. It's endless. It's tracking, fleeing suspects. There's so many uses for them. So that's a big one.
Yeah. One of the things that, this is a little bit of a tough question, and that is not hard for you to answer, but just safety is such a paramount thing. When we look at the community and you ask what's the job of the city of LeGrand, safety is right up there among the top. Yeah, of course. Being able to, what the police and fire do are paramount. There's a lot of other things that can go by the side, but that has to happen. But there's a possibility of somebody like you or somebody in an agency using the thing of safety, but using that safety level, but buying too much with it. So in other words, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and that's where we count on your integrity and on the integrity of leadership to say, yes, that that tool would be cool, but it's not going to make us any safer.
Right.
How do you make those decisions, you know?
Sure. So it's wants versus needs, first of all.
Right, yeah.
And so if it's a want, then what is it? Applying critical thinking. What is the tool or whatever it is? How does it make public safety better? How can we afford it? And what are the reviews from other agencies who are using it? So I apply all those things, you know, for it could be something as small as silencers on rifles.
Right.
You know, that's kind of a big thing in the industry standard, industry standard across the nation. And so if you look at a silencer, well, what is it? Why is it important? Well, it reduces hearing loss. We still are paying on workman comp claims for past retired police officers, and it costs us a lot of money when they file claims. So now we use hearing protection and stuff when we're out on the range, but if you're in a real situation, you don't have
Right.
time to stop. Let me put on my earmuffs and okay, let's go back. You know,
Right.
So, you know, so you're just applying critical thinking to it, and is a juice worth the squeeze, as Chief Bell used to always say.
Right. Well,
you know?
and to apply that, you know, so then that suppressor has a cost for every gun out there, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Yes.
And
how long do they last?
right. Yeah.
You know, when do I look at replacing those again?
Yeah.
And that's just an analogy.
Right,
You know,
right,
you could
right.
apply that to anything.
Right.
Because I'll tell you what, you go to a Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police conference, when you have 30 vendors there, they're all trying to sell you the newest, greatest stuff.
Right.
So I'm constantly like, okay, like, what is it? Is it better than what I'm using? Does it save officer time, increase officer safety? How does it make our job better?
But
You know.
a silencer on a handgun is not practical.
No, this would
And
only be
that's
for
what
rifles.
you're shooting most.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so the hearing thing, I would think that, you know, you don't shoot your rifle that often without hearing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right? So is that kind of how you look at it? Like,
Yeah,
'cause
it all
of
applies,
practicality, like, you're not going to put a silencer on a pit. You can't get that out very well.
Right.
Like it
Yeah.
extends the barrel by what, 4 inches, 5 inches?
Oh yeah, at least.
That
yeah.
wouldn't really be very
Right.
practical.
So yeah, you're always applying that logic,
Yeah.
you know, and stuff. But the nice thing is I have connections with other agencies, and so if there's something I'm curious about, what, you know, body cams, I was curious about. So I call my friends at other agencies. Hey, what's the good and bad, pros, cons? You know, how's it working for you? Well, we just did this last year with tasers. Because taser technology is advancing a lot. And taser, don't get me wrong, I think it's the best non or less lethal tool that we have on our tool belt. Because it's a way to get somebody to comply without causing them harm.
Right.
You know, yeah, they're uncomfortable for 5 seconds, but it doesn't cause any other, you know,
Right.
if used correctly. So anyway, in technology, Axon, who is the company that we purchase our tasers on, they're not the only company, but they're the
body
leading
cam company too.
Yep,
aren't they?
yep,
Yeah.
they do, and they do the license plate readers. They do kind of everything. So, but I asked, you know, before I purchased these, are these, because they're selling you on the Taser 10, you know, it's just like a cell phone. Oh, iPhone 26S. It's the
new
best
one will reach
thing.
in, grab
Yeah, it'll do all this and whatever. And so, you know, I'm wise enough to know, like, hey, they're salesmen, they're trying to sell a product.
Right.
And it may be all that. But then I ask the agencies that have purchased it and get that real gritty truth about the pros and cons of it.
I would imagine there's not a lot of cons to body cams
No, there's
outside
not.
of money.
Yeah.
If you have integrity as a cop, you want a body cam to protect yourself.
They protect yourself. They reduce complaints.
Yeah. You have proof.
There's evidence that's gathered off of those that show, you know, and like former Chief Brian Harvey always said, now, any video doesn't tell the whole story, but it helps as a piece to tell the story because video is two-dimensional.
Right.
And so, if you know how to apply it and then fill in to make it 3D with
Yeah,
the
the
other information, the
circumstances,
smells, the sights, the sounds,
Yeah.
what you heard over here, how you felt in that particular moment and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's a wonderful product. We're going to get there. I just, right now for me, staff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need police
When you're having
officers
to
and I
cut
need dispatchers.
officers for your budget,
Right.
you can't think about body cams.
Correct. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So what is the number out there what would it cost per year to have body cams, a guess?
Well, so $65,000, but you divide that over 5 years if we were to enter a contract.
Right.
I can't remember, 17,000 a year
Yeah.
or whatever it would be, is what we're looking at just to get started. And then, there's some components of that because being able to take it off that, put it into your evidence. And
Right.
then there's the stuff that you don't see. So like like our records person, how, because
How
you
much
have to,
time?
what's that when you black out
Right,
certain
yeah,
faces and stuff?
redact.
Redact,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. There's redaction that has to happen, on a public records request and stuff. So you'd have to
minors
measure that.
and
But the cost, if $65,000 now, that was months ago. It
Right,
could
right,
be up
right.
now, but that would at least get us body cams, get us the training, and get us started.
Right.
What are your officers to say about body cams?
Yeah, they have no problem with it.
they're-
Yeah, they understand that that's kind of an industry standard now.
It
and
protects
our
them.
supervisors, our sergeants, they really, because they filled a lot of the complaints, they understand the value in being able to review footage of a certain contact with the citizen. And
But do you have a guess of like the yearly cost to maintain all of that administration and redaction and
yeah,
do you need a staff per? I mean, that's a lot. That's probably more expensive long term than the hardware up front. So
yeah. And another thing too, I just talked to you, our officers are going to 36 calls for service a day. That doesn't include the follow-up they're doing on or the report writing.
Yeah.
What happens is if you use body cam footage or any video surveillance footage, then you have to be verbatim in your report writing as to what that says. So the transcription of doing that takes a lot longer to write a report.
Oh, interesting.
So we would have officers taking longer to write police reports.
So they'd have to sit there and look at their body cam footage.
Yep,
write
and
down
then
exactly what they said.
Yep.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Now
Why
there is
can't you just put
transcription
that-
services at a cost.
Yeah,
But why can't that just be submitted as a piece of evidence, as
Right.
a piece of
Please
the report?
see video for
Yes.
full details. We've done that before, but yeah, in this day and age, the justice system is asking for
Like a full report.
yeah,
Not only the video, but the transcription of
Right.
the video and okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you.
Crazy.
You are welcome.
Yeah,
yeah,
appreciate you being here, and always appreciate the conversation.
yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You want to get us out of here?
Let's do it.
All right.
On this day, 1810, John Jacob Astor organizes the Pacific Fur Company in Astoria, Oregon. 1926, on this day, which is June 23rd, the College Board administers the first SAT exam in the USA. 1960, the first contraceptive pill is made available for purchase in the U.S. 2021, Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch, seen in its entirety for the first time in 300 years after AI is used to fill in pieces that were trimmed off of it. 2021, U.S. Supreme Court rules in favor of teen kicked off of cheerleading team after a profane social media post saying the school violated her free speech. The number one movie in America on this day, 25 years ago, Fast and the Furious. That's a badass car right there, too. That car is woo. And then the quote of the day comes from Aesop. No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. One more time. No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted.
All right. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
All
you
righty.
bet.
We'll see you guys soon.